I want to just help you with a distinction between the two voices we're often operating from. Most of the time, which is one voice, actually. And that is to make this distinction between the loud, analytical mind, that part of us, that habitual thinking, shouting, noisy voice that always seems to be present, directing our decisions and therefore our course in life. Between that and what I say is a quiet nudge of intuition, much more peaceable. Understanding the distinction between the two, because if you can find that small voice within, I guarantee your life will look completely different. So let me put it to you. I doubt you've ever actually solved a problem by thinking more about it. It's what we tend to do, isn't it? When we have an issue, when something needs resolution, we think, and then we think some more. But I say thinking is like rabbits or mice. They just reproduce so quickly. When you're trying to think of a solution, a way forward, and you give it thought, it just births more thinking, more thoughts, until it just builds up like a whole family, one generation to the next of thoughts, and you're left with so many options, having to weigh up pros and cons, to-do lists, what not to do. It's very confusing, and in fact, it's very tiring. But have you ever really solved anything in your life of any importance by thinking it through, thinking it through? I suggest what happens is, and I know this from my own experience of having moved away from trying to overthink everything, is that true solutions arrive when the thinking just stops. And until thinking stops, what it does, it keeps the intuitive voice within, where the true wisdom dwells, it keeps that at a distance. Now, it's an easy thing to do, to think, because it gives us a sense of achievement. We're doing something, we're thinking through the problem. And I know it sounds honorable, noble. Give it whatever label you want. And most of us are habitually thinking our way through life. What I mean by that is, we've come to a place in life where we've done things a certain way. We get certain results. We have certain expectations. And the brain is masterful at predicting what will happen next, and will act accordingly. This is what happens. And we feel the path of least resistance is simply to do what we've always done, based on what went before. We give it some thought, we might give it a lot of thought, and invariably we act in a very predictable way. Why wouldn't we? Because we don't really want disruption in our lives. But actually, living that sort of way, from habitual thinking, rationalizing, reasoning, analyzing, is good on certain things. But for guidance in life, we try and really understand where your life is flowing to really align with your true, authentic self. Purposeful, meaningful, soulful living will never come out of trying to think your way through things. It will come from that tuning in to the intuitive voice, which is not noisy. It doesn't demand attention. There's nothing urgent about it. You see, when we're in the thinking mode, we're living life from habitual thinking. Everything is rushed. Everything comes at us as multiple options. And when we have options, it's very confusing. If you go into a restaurant And there's 500 food choices, and you're hungry, you want to eat, but you're just bamboozled by choice. Isn't that so frustrating? Isn't that so tiring? Contrast that with the voice of intuition. It always comes as a singularity. It doesn't present you with options. It just simply suggests, this is the way. This is the course of action. This is the resolution. And notice how freeing that is, how expansive. It's not urgent. It's not demanding. It just feels good. And it will come often serendipitously, when you least expect it, when you're not trying to think your way through something. The solution arrives. Was there ever a time in your life when you just knew something? You just knew it. It didn't come as a consequence of a lot of reasoning and analyzing. It just came to you. You had to know something. Perhaps there was a decision to be made. A bit of uncertainty into your life about a course of action. It just came. Now, it might have come after you did a lot of thinking through stuff and you just had to disengage and you were out taking care of life, doing other things. It came at some point and you just, let's use the word, instinctively knew, that's it. That's exactly what I need to do, where I need to be, etc. That voice of intuition, in contrast to the intellect and the overthinking of life, the loud analytical mind, it is a quiet little nudge. This is the way, walking in. Calm. Singularity, free from distraction. So here's a little practice. If today, at any point, you feel a sense of mental grip, and you just need to know what to do for a certain situation, a decision that needs to be made, something ambiguous in your life that's troubling you, confusing you, just taking away your peace, it's discomforting. Just say this to yourself. Pause and ask, what does wisdom say right now? I wonder what my intuition would say right now. And just leave it there. Setting that intention, but also with the belief that at some point that intuitive voice will speak. And when it speaks, and when you hear it, you'll know exactly that that is divine wisdom. That is that infinite source of wisdom, of intuition speaking to you about what to do next, if that's what you're seeking, direction or resolution to something that has simply not come to you because of that loud analytical thinking. When all the mud settles, when all the chaos falls away from you because of thinking, that intuition will speak. And when that happens to you today or during the course of this week or whenever, just pause and ask, what does wisdom say right now? Let it go. And I assure you, that quiet nudge of intuition will just move you in the right direction. You'll feel it. And you'll know, there, that's it right there. That's my intuition speaking. It's solid, it's reliable. It's so freeing. Some people find journaling these experiences helpful. When intuition finally came through, write it down. What frame of mind you were in? What were you doing at the time? And more often than not, you'll find that you were not thinking about what you needed to receive. It just came. But it may be that you find a pattern in your life of external circumstances or an inner state of being that intuition seems to speak more than at other times. Well, that's a useful thing to know. Because the more you recognize what state of mind you're in when intuition comes through, the more it's going to speak to you, the more you can cultivate those sort of circumstances in your life. Discerning the two voices of your loud, analytical mind, me, and that quiet nudge of intuition within, which we all have. Every human being has it, you, me. And it's a beautiful, light, freeing, expansive way to live your life.